I know, 3 back-to-back gaming pickups episodes, but that's okay. Because judging by the very few comments that I've received in this overabundance of videos, you know, I've gotten enough positive feedback to keep going, so let's get started. Here we have 4 DS games. Yeah, I don't know when the next time I'm gonna get 4 DS games, but yeah, here we got Mega Man ZX. Something I played very briefly. It's really something my brother got, but from what I played, I'm liking it so far. I'm not exactly sure what the Mega Man fan base thinks about this game. I mean, I'm a fan of Mega Man, but you know, I'm only really into the classic series and the X series. Although I need to get more into the X series, you know. But hey, not a bad game. At least I don't think it is from what I've played. Here we have Mega Man Zero Collection. This is also, you know, a game my brother got. And, well, it's a collection of Mega Man Zeros 1 through 4. I believe these were all Game Boy Advance games. This I've played incredibly briefly, and to be honest, I really don't know what much to say about it. Though it's something that I will be continuing on in the very near future. Because, you know, hey, I love the DS, and it's always great to have, you know, more DS games. Here's something that I got, Nano Stray. Now what this is, well, judging by the cover and, you know, the screenshots, it's a shooter, and it's a great one, actually. I don't know how else to describe. I really fucking like this game a lot. It's fun as hell. Yeah, and hell is fun, yeah. Game Sack reference to the episode Digital Games That Got a Physical Release. Anyways, yes, it's a shooter, and I just love its overall flow and gameplay, you know, its theme, just the graphics, it's such a great fucking game. I don't know how much more I can praise it. Granted, yeah, sure, it's not as hard as, like, a lot of other shooters, but it's still, like, you know, fun. There's definitely a really nice flow and enjoyable aspect to Nano Stray, and I would highly recommend it if you know, have DS, which you should, you know. A lot of people have a fucking DS. It's one of the most popular systems of all time, and it's an amazing system, too. And lastly, we have DK Jungle Climber. Now, this is a game that I've been wanting for a while. I remember I played it before, and I really liked the aspect of, you know, just the overall gameplay. You know, you're on these little peg things floating in the air, and you use LNR to control, you know, your movement and stuff. I mean, yes, you can still move with the D-pad and stuff. But the thing is, this game does not play like your traditional Donkey Kong Country or whatever, or even like Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, you know. It's a unique sort of platformer. You know, there's definitely a lot of a lot of platforming is definitely relied on the momentum of your swings as you swing across these little peg things floating in the air. And, you know, it's got the traditional stuff of, like, getting the DK coin, and I believe there are banana coins. But, yeah, this is a great fucking game. So much fun, so enjoyable. I never really cared for that glass maze stage early on, but, you know, hey, it's just so fun. I don't know how much else I can praise it. I know I might be sounding like a fanboy or whatever, but it's such a great, you know, game. And hell, even if I ever do decide to 100% this game, it probably won't be too much of a hassle, which is nice. I guess while we're on the handheld side of things, I got Chalvo 55 for the original Game Boy. This is a Japan exclusive title, and my second Japan-only Game Boy game, original Game Boy game. I have a few other Japanese Game Boy games like the others. But, yeah. This game is actually very interesting for a few reasons. This is actually the end result of a Virtual Boy game that was never released. Basically, you know, Japan Supply System was developing a game for the Virtual Boy called Bound High. Now, that game was never released, like a lot of other Virtual Boy games, but the developers were like, well, we still want to introduce the character of Chalvo to the world and do something with him, so they made Chalvo 55, a late-release Japan-only Game Boy game, and, well, it doesn't play like Bound High, it's actually kind of its own unique thing, and it's fun actually. I do like it. You know, you're basically just going around collecting 5 crystals and then making it to the boss. In a way, it kind of, you know, it's not linear, so in a way I guess you could say maybe it's like, I don't know, Metroid or Metroidvania, or maybe like Strider on the NES or Tails Adventure on the Game Gear, that kind of form, where you find certain things in an area and then you head off to, you know, the boss, or head off to the finishing. Actually, no, it always ends with a boss, so it's not exactly like Metroidvania, but it's, you know, not a linear sort of, you know, point A to point B platformer on like Kirby's Dream Land, but it's pretty fun. And the interesting thing about this game is that for years, and I do mean years, I could never find this game on eBay. In fact, nobody could. There was no chance in hell you were ever going to find this game on eBay. And I'm talking, this happened for like 2 to 3 years, probably even more. But all of a sudden, you know, copies finally started appearing up, and I guess even as recent as, you know, last year or 2 years ago, you can get them for an affordable price. So I finally decided to get this, and I was finally able to get this, and it's really cool to own, you know, an interesting piece in the Virtual Boy's lifespan. Even though it's not a Virtual Boy game, it's, you know, still related to it in many ways. I maybe would have still gotten it anyways, even if it wasn't for Chalvo, you know, being part of the game, but it's still, you know, hey, still a good game. I like it. And here's a Game Boy Advance game, Koro Koro Puzzle Happy Panichu. Yeah, another Japan-only game. It's my first Japanese Game Boy Advance game, and there's a very good reason why I wanted this game. This is one of 3 Game Boy Advance games, and one of 4 Game Boy games total, because there was a Game Boy Color game that did this, in which you tilt the system. You can see the cartridge is bigger than most Game Boy Advance games because, you know, it has this sensor in it, so you know, tilt the system. In fact, I even have Game Boy Advance SP right here. See, you would tilt it left and right and stuff to do actions in the game. I mean, the other 2 Game Boy Advance games that did this were Yoshi Topsy Turvy and WarioWare Twisted. The Game Boy Color game that did this was Kirby Tilt and Tumble. And I'm hoping maybe to get all 4 of those one day. The game itself, I don't really understand how to play, to be honest. I mean, even looking at the Wikipedia article explains how to play. You know, this game just confuses the fuck out of me. I can't even explain how it even plays, to be honest. And, you know, there's, in Classic Game Room's review of this game, there's a certain game mode that I have yet to access or find that he shows off. So, yeah, that's going to keep me going and playing it for that. And because this is one of those tilt games, it'd be, like, just hilarious to see this being played on the Game Boy player for the GameCube, because, you know, you'd have to tilt the GameCube because the Game Boy player is the system, and, you know, playing it, like, you know, I'll head over here, give a bit of a demonstration, put the camera on the Saturn, you know, you put it in there, that's what it would look like, and tilt the GameCube and stuff, you know, because, yeah, whoa, gotta move around and stuff. So, yeah, game itself, it's interesting, but you know, I mainly wanted, I guess, for the fact that it tilts, and I really wanted a Japanese Game Boy Advance game, so that's cool. Alright, on to Wii U stuff. Yeah, I don't know when the hell the next time I'm going to be talking about 3 Wii U games at the same time, but hey, let's start off with the one you've already seen, Shovel Knight. Now, Shovel Knight is an interesting game to me. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't have much interest in too many indie games. Mainly because a lot of times I don't feel it strikes my interest. And, you know, this is all subjective. This is just to me. There are a good amount of games that don't really catch my interest. And even if it does catch my interest, the game isn't released physically more often than not. But in the case of Shovel Knight, like, it's one of those indie games that got a physical release. Same with shit like Terraria and Retro City Rampage, but Shovel Knight interested me more than those games, and, you know, when I found out that it was getting a physical release back in the day, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fucking all about that. And, like, you know, you just gotta have games physically, you know? You gotta preserve the future. I mean, you gotta preserve history. You know, because, like, digital gaming, it's like, oh yeah, it's cheaper, but what if you have a shitty internet connection or very little internet connection? And yes, I get it. It's 2016. Billions of people, probably billions of people, have internet. Or at least hundreds of millions of people. Point is, a shit ton of people have internet in 2016. I know there's still plenty who don't, but yes, I get it. But let's just talk about the game itself. As we know, it's a 2D platformer that harkens back to the NES days, I guess inspired by, you know, Mega Man and Castlevania and the likes, and, well, I beat it, and, yeah, it's a fucking great game. It's fun, it's so well designed, it's enjoyable, and it deserves the praise it's getting. And, you know, as popular as it was kind of inevitable that it would maybe get a physical release, but, you know, hey. But, you know, even if it unfortunately stayed in the digital realm, it's still, like, a fun game, and I can understand why people would want to play it. And really, as one of the only indie games I played, it's fucking, you know, great stuff. And for its price, you know, you absolutely have to buy this. Support this kind of cause. You know, support this kind of cause for great games like this, and for them to be released physically. And Yacht Club Games, they should make another game soon, you know, because this is literally the only game they have made. And yes, I know they haven't been around for like 15, 20 years, but, you know, hey. So yeah, Shovel Knight, great stuff. Now let's talk about the big one, Star Fox Zero. And Star Fox Guard. And Star Fox Zero. There they both are. Okay, let's get the box out of the way. Actually, I want to mention something about the box. The box right here doesn't mention anything, at least on the back, about Star Fox Guard. In fact, even on the back of Star Fox Guard, that's literally all it says. It doesn't mention anything about the game, which I guess is okay because, you know, yeah, but it's like, really? I don't know. You know what, I'll talk about Star Fox Guard first because I don't have as much to say. As we know, it's a tower defense game, and I played it for more than I thought, actually, and because it seems like it's actually a game that you can beat, I will be playing this more. I will attempt to beat it, because it's fun, you know, it's a fun, harmless little distraction, and, you know, the fact that it, you know, comes with another game is nice. In fact, I've always believed for years that the GameCube would be the only Nintendo system to have 2 Star Fox games, but, hey, looks like I was wrong. But yeah, Star Fox Guard is cool. Now then, Star Fox Zero. This is definitely a game that's received very mixed reception, and, you know, rightfully so. It's not perfect, but at the same time, I'm definitely more optimistic about this than I think a lot of people are. In fact, I think that can be said for, you know, some people. There's like a good half. Half people who admit that, yes, it could have been better, but it's still fun, and there's other people it's like, oh, fuck this. Because, you know, to be honest, I don't really think there's a truly bad fuck this kind of game, Star Fox game. You know, I mean, that's not saying much because there isn't many Star Fox games, and as somebody who would be a bigger fan of the series if there were more games, I mean, I own all of them except for, unfortunately, Star Fox 64 and 64 3D. But yeah, I mean, yes, there's the whole thing with the motion controls, which, yeah, I would have absolutely loved if it was just like, you know, standard control, but I don't think it's as hindering as it could be. In all honesty, it'd probably be more hindering if it was on the Wii, and I don't find the motion controls to be as detrimental to the game compared to, you know, games like Sonic and the Secret Rings or Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz. You know, and another thing, this game relies a lot on, like, Star Fox 64. It's almost the same story, except, you know, Andros has got portals and shit, and it's like, well, where does this fit into the timeline? Nintendo says it's not a reboot, and it certainly doesn't continue the story of, you know, Star Fox Command. But then again, Star Fox Command had multiple endings, and a pretty depressing story to boot, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, even if you can look past, like, the fact that, oh, it's really similar to 64, which, you know, is in many ways, I guess, a good thing, but at the same time, we want something, you know, different, I still like Star Fox Zero. I will admit, yes, it's not perfect. There definitely is room for an improvement, and also a longer game at that, I feel. I definitely feel this should have been a longer game, but I still think there's a fun factor to it. And I guess that's what matters the most, but of course, you know, there's got to be, like, There's got to be, like, freaking everything, especially with a game as hyped up as this, because a Star Fox game for the Wii U was my most wanted game for the Wii U. Like, out of anything that could have possibly happened, say like a Super Monkey Ball game for the Wii U, or F-Zero game, or Metroid game, this is the one I wanted the most, and I'm glad it exists. And, you know, like, again, there is a fun factor to it despite its problems, and, you know, yeah, I like it. Though, I guess to go on a bit of a rant, I believe that this bundle with Star Fox Guard isn't being printed anymore. I don't know, because I'm not saying, oh, it's as hard as find compared to, like, many amiibos, but I don't think they're going to be doing this with Star Fox Guard physically, which is, like, fucking stupid. You're telling me Nintendo couldn't, like, keep this bundle where you get, you know, both games physically for, like, the whole lifespan that they're going to make, you know, copies of this game? It's like what? It would probably cost them like what, $2 to make a copy of Star Fox Guard, you know? I mean, the cases aren't as thick as they used to be on Wii U. The cases on Wii U games aren't as thick as they used to be on, say, GameCube stuff, so it's like, it should be dirt cheap, especially for Nintendo. I mean, granted, I don't know the whole process, but yeah. Okay, I'm really making myself look like a fucking fool, sort of. But hey, I guess if you really enjoy these type of videos, good for you.